Emma returned early from a business trip and found an extra pair of men's shoes on the floor. It startled her so much that she tiptoed out with her bag. Close call. Close call. She almost forgot her husband had been seeing someone recently. Emma took her luggage and sat down at the pavilion in the neighborhood. She lit a cigarette, enjoying the view while waiting for her husband to finish. Next time I won't take this flight. It got me home 2 hours early. Didn't leave any time for him. This was really ruining their good time on purpose. That man was her husband's first love, Michael. They dated for 3 years in high school and broke up in college due to long distance. A few months ago, they rekindled their romance at a class reunion. They say love from school days is the purest, and it was absolutely true. Emma had seen all their chat records, so affectionate, so sweet. She couldn't help but start rooting for them as a couple. Such a good pair of childhood sweethearts. How did they end up not being together? Then, after putting down the phone, she remembered. Wait a minute. That's my husband. All right. You two can play Romeo and Juliet. I guess I'm the certified spouse who gets cast as the villain. Just as she was lost in thought, her phone rang. It was the wife of her husband's first love, Sarah. Where's your husband? Emma knew Sarah must have noticed her husband disappearing again. Don't bother looking, Emma said. Your husband's at my place. There was silence on the other end. Then Sarah gritted her teeth and said, he lied to me again. Said he was working late. Working in bed, more like. How many times has it been this month? How many times? Emma took out her notes and counted the tally marks, 2 sets of 5 with a line through them. 12 times, she answered truthfully. They're so sweet together. Has your husband mentioned divorce to you? No. That's odd. My husband's been pressuring him a lot. Last week, he almost couldn't help but confess to me. Scared me half to death. Thought I was going to end up divorced before I could even get revenge. Can you stop joking? Okay. I'll stop. Seriously, though, I can't wait any longer. I'm ready to act. Everything according to plan. No issues on your end. No issues. Chapter 2. She hung up the phone and checked the time. Only half an hour had passed. Suddenly, she felt like toying with them. She called her husband, James. It rang for a long time before he picked up. Who? Husband? It's me, darling, Emma said enthusiastically. I'm at the neighborhood entrance. Did you miss me? Ah, James couldn't help but exclaim. Weren't you supposed to arrive in over an hour? I came early, she said. Surprised? Caught off guard. Oh, surprised. Very surprised. There was rustling on the other end. Emma guessed the two of them were scrambling in panic. Honey, you've got a lot of luggage, right? Why don't you rest at the entrance for a bit? I'll come down to get you, James said quickly, stalling. He was showing some quick thinking. No need, Emma said. I'm almost at the apartment building. I'll be there in 10 minutes. What? Honey, we're out of soy sauce at home. Can you grab a bottle at the supermarket on your way? Oh, and we're running low on hand soap, too. Get lost. Emma hung up the phone. Chapter 3. Emma considered herself a kind person. She dawdled on the way, giving them a few extra minutes to prepare. Then, right at the entrance of the building, she ran into his first love, Michael. The moment he saw her, he visibly froze. Then he lowered his head and quickly brushed past her. His hair was messy, his eyes panicked. The buttons on his shirt were misaligned, and his pants were loose. Hey, she called out just as he was about to step out the door. He froze, unable to muster the courage to turn back. Emma suppressed a laugh and pointed at a business card on the ground. You dropped something, buddy. He let out a sigh of relief, picked up the card, and hurried off. In his rush, he dropped his briefcase too. Papers scattered all over the floor. Looks like he came straight to her place after meeting a client. Talk about making every second count. She was almost swept away by the sweetness of their love again. She took the elevator up, went home, and entered the code. The moment she stepped in, she smelled a strong scent of air freshener. James was in a hurry, blocking her way. His face was flushed, his breathing uneven, and his clothes messy. What were you doing at home? She dragged her luggage into the bedroom. You look exhausted. James followed closely behind, blocking her view of the bathroom. Seems like they didn't have time to clean up there. Just doing some deep cleaning, he said guiltily. The bed was piled with clothes. It seemed he didn't have time to straighten the sheets, so he'd made it even messier. She sat down on the bed. The blanket was still warm. Do you smell something? She sniffed the air. Smell what? James's expression was unnatural. I don't smell anything. She leaned in closer, pretending to be serious. Something's off. You smell like a man. His face turned pale instantly, as if an invisible hand had gripped his throat. He couldn't utter a word. You used my shower gel, didn't you? She laughed. He let out a breath of relief, feigning anger as he punched her chest. You're impossible. Always joking around. She raised her eyebrows. What's that red mark on your neck? Just when he'd started to relax, her question startled him again. Instinctively, he covered his neck. A mosquito bite. Mosquitoes in the middle of winter? Then maybe it's an allergic reaction. She nodded. Or maybe you brushed against some pollen on the way to work. She stared at him, smiling. Soon, beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Oh, she nodded. I thought someone kissed you. Stop joking. He pushed her, avoiding her gaze. You always make these jokes. I'm not joking, she said. While I was away, you've been sneaking around. James was struck like lightning, eyes wide, lips trembling. She pointed at the table piled with leftovers. Didn't you say this stuff was unhealthy? As soon as I leave, you start eating it. James's spirit returned slightly. I was busy with work, and with you gone, there was no one to cook for me. Ugh, why are you scaring me like this? In just a few minutes, she'd messed with him 3 times. He was so flustered he could barely speak. Seeing him so uncomfortable filled her with a strange satisfaction. She could hardly wait to see what his face would look like when she finally confronted him for real. I admit I have a bit of a twisted side. Chapter 4. That night, after James finished his shower, he cuddled up to her, seeking affection. A wave of nausea hit her, and she almost couldn't hold back from vomiting. She quickly claimed she was too tired and collapsed onto the bed, pretending to sleep. He didn't suspect anything. After a while, he softly called her name. Seeing that she didn't wake up, he tiptoed to the bathroom. Soon her phone started vibrating. The tracker app she'd installed on his phone sent her all his activity. Michael. He didn't suspect anything, right? James. No. But he's acting a bit strange. Michael. Good. I was scared to death today. James. What's there to be scared of? We're both getting divorced soon anyway. Michael. Wiping sweat emoji. James. Did you tell your wife how much longer it will take? I can't stand this life for another day. James. I'm preparing. Michael. Preparing? How long has it been? If you don't tell her soon, I'll tell her myself. James. No, please don't. Divorce isn't a small matter. There are a lot of things to discuss slowly. Michael. I'm giving you one last week, James. We'll talk about it then. Chapter 5. Only 1 week left. She rolled over and sat up, creating a group chat with James's parents, his aunt and uncle, and his close friends. Sorry to disturb everyone so late, but here's the thing. Our anniversary is coming up, and this weekend I've planned a surprise for James. I'd love for you all to witness it and have a little gathering. Wow, Emma, you're so romantic. James's best friend, Lily, chimed in. Anniversary? Is it your wedding anniversary? That's not for a while, his mother asked. It's our 8th anniversary of being together, Emma made up on the spot. Mom, you have to come. Let's record a vlog of the whole thing. Can you give us a hint of what you've planned? James's colleague, Mia, asked. A few flowers, a cake, and I also bought the bag that James has had in his shopping cart for a while, but couldn't bring himself to buy. Oh, and please keep this a secret. I want it to be a surprise. What kind of luck does James have? Did he save the galaxy in his past life? Everyone started discussing excitedly, the joyful atmosphere seeming to overflow from the screen. Why are you awake? James came back from the bathroom. My boss called. Emma waved her phone. I have to go on a business trip this weekend. Won't be back until Tuesday. Another work trip? James pretended to be disappointed. Can't be helped. She pretended to smile bitterly. Life is like a play. The next morning, she saw their latest chat. James, he won't be home this weekend. Michael, then I'll come over again. Just make sure everything's cleaned up and ready for me. James, blushing emoji. Sent at 2 a.m., almost right as I fell asleep. So eager. Let's see each other this weekend, then. Chapter 6. Weekend Hotel. So excited. So excited. James's best friend, Lily, held flowers, stamping her feet in excitement. Am I the one who leads the shout? Yes. James's college roommate, Clara, double-checked the plan. You'll catch James's attention, and we'll set off the confetti. Little brother, is the camera ready? It's ready. Emma's brother-in-law, Mark, took a group photo. Don't worry, I took a photography course in college. so you can leave the recording to me. Emma, it's so thoughtful of you. James's parents held her hands warmly. We're fully confident in leaving James in your care. Mom, Dad, I promised you before that I'd take good care of James, and that's what I'll do. The gifts are all wrapped, Mia, the colleague handling logistics, said. When are we heading out? Everyone looked at Emma. She glanced down at her phone. Half an hour ago, Michael's wife, Sarah, had told her that her husband was working late again. If she'd timed it right, they should be in the middle of their affair. Let's go, she waved. Everyone follow me. In that moment, she had the illusion that she was a general from ancient times, leading an army of millions to the north to eliminate traitors. Chapter 7. The convoy drove into the neighborhood in grand style. Upstairs, the atmosphere in the elevator was charged with excitement. As soon as they got out, everyone instinctively held their breath. The quiet tension felt like a balloon inflating more and more, everyone waiting for the explosion. The sound of the keypad beeping, Emma deliberately brought the key. It slowly slid into the lock, gently turning the latch. Lily entered first, tiptoeing toward the bedroom before suddenly throwing open the door. James, surprise. She got halfway through the word before freezing, the S, trailing off like a deflated balloon. Her mind went blank, but the people behind her had already caught up. One by one, everyone looked like they'd been paused. No movement, no sound. As if it wasn't James lying on the bed but Medusa, petrifying all who saw him. Not a sound. Thud. Mark dropped the camera, the battery flying a meter away. What's going on? Emma asked, pretending to be clueless as she called the police. She walked toward the bedroom, but Mark stepped in front of her, face flushed, eyes avoiding hers, instinctively grabbing her sleeve. There might be some misunderstanding, he said, almost pleading. Don't get violent. Let's talk this through. Misunderstanding. Emma pretended not to understand, scanning the room. Everyone lowered their heads in unison, no one explaining, but they automatically made way for her. And so she saw, on the messy bed, a pale-faced, stark-naked man. Michael, looking embarrassed. He tried to run, but the bed was surrounded, and his clothes and pillows were all on the floor. He had nothing to cover himself with, forced to face everyone's judgment completely exposed. Beside him lay James, face buried in the blanket, hair a mess, exposed legs still trembling uncontrollably. Emma knew the scene had reached its climax. Generally, there are two ways to react when catching a cheater. If she were hot-blooded, she'd rush up and beat the adulterers. If lovesick, she'd grab James by the shoulders and demand why he'd done this. But she was neither. She was scheming, here to strike at the heart. She kicked Michael in the face and shouted, "Why are you bullying my husband?" Then she tightly embraced James and gently asked, "Did he force you? Why didn't you tell me if you were in trouble?" There was a stir in the crowd, and she heard a heavy sigh from Lily, standing closest. In everyone's eyes, she'd prepared a surprise only to witness betrayal. Not only was her sincerity mocked, but in that instant, she'd chosen to believe her husband was coerced. What a perfect spouse. Now she held the moral high ground. "James, how are you going to play this game with me?" Chapter 8. "James, how are you going to play this game with me? How dare you bully my son?" Emma's shrewd father-in-law was the first to catch on to her intentions, delivering a fierce slap to James's first love, Michael. "You beast, I'll beat you to death." With her father-in-law leading the way, Emma's brother-in-law followed up with a punch to Michael's face. Blood instantly splattered from his nose. Then her brother-in-law grabbed him by the hair and dragged him off the bed. Michael cried out, reaching for James's hand. James was pulled sideways, the blanket slipping to the floor, leaving most of his body exposed. He screamed, frantically grabbing for the blanket to cover himself. Emma's mother-in-law, seeing this, hurried to help her son cover up, but her brother-in-law, single-minded as he was, only pulled harder upon hearing James's cries. "You still dare to grab my brother?" James and Emma's mother-in-law were no match for her brother-in-law's brute strength. In the end, this tug-of-war ended with her brother-in-law's overwhelming victory. James was left completely exposed. Emma noticed someone in the crowd secretly recording with their phone and subtly adjusted her position. Not blocking the camera is just basic courtesy, right? Who called the police? Outside the door, the police had arrived. Emma quickly stepped forward, grasping the officer's hands and saying in a grief-stricken tone, "My husband has been raped." The officer hesitated, then patted her hand in a gesture of comfort. It wasn't rape. It wasn't rape. Michael was shocked, suddenly finding the strength to break free from James's family's beating. We know each other. He invited me here. If you don't believe me, ask him. The officer gave him a disdainful look before turning to James. Do you know him? This was the second dilemma Emma had set for James. If he denied knowing Michael, Michael would be charged with rape, and he would certainly fight back by revealing all the details of their affair, clawing at each other like cats and dogs. If he admitted to the affair, his testimony would become crucial evidence in their divorce and Emma's claim for emotional damages. Either way, Emma wouldn't lose by an inch. Now the pressure was on James. Emma's mother-in-law had found a nightgown for him to wear, and everyone watched as he seemed to be in a daze. Do you know him? The officer asked again. Please answer truthfully. Yes. James nodded. Michael let out a sigh of relief. Emma's father-in-law's face turned dark, and he immediately slapped James hard across the face. How could I have raised someone like you? Emma wasn't surprised by this outcome. It was obvious they knew each other. Moreover, among the people there were some of James's high school classmates. But the act had to be convincing. She pretended not to believe it, shouting that it was impossible, and ran out of the house. Chapter 9. The second phase of revenge began. Emma found a gaming hotel and booked it for 7 days, then turned off her phone. She dug out some games from her favorites list that had been gathering dust and officially entered happy mode. When she got tired of playing, she'd order takeout, watch movies, and chat with friends on Jihu. The days were fulfilling and joyful. For a moment, she felt like she was back in college. No one forcing her to endlessly strive for a bigger house or higher salary. No one glaring at her for taking a break. She spent less than $300 in 7 days. But the happiness she gained was more than the sum of 5 years of marriage. It's true that you only realize what you've lost once it's gone. If you've never been married, you don't know how awesome the single life is. A week later, she reinstalled WeChat and turned off Do Not Disturb. Her phone buzzed for over half an hour. Scrolling through, she saw all the unread messages. James and his family were going crazy trying to find her. Her soon-to-be ex-in-laws said James had completely reformed, and that if she was willing to give him another chance, he would never defy her again. They made it sound so convincing. Even bystanders, while gossiping, expressed sympathy. She scrolled through the updates everyone had been sending her, tracking the real-time dynamics of the Song family. Day 1. Chaos. It caused quite a stir locally. Various local public accounts and small influencers were reposting and commenting. Emma was included in the material for Why Men Don't Want to Get Married Anymore. Day 2. James's entire family didn't leave the house. The neighborhood's gossip almost drowned them in their own home. Day 3. James's workplace issued a statement. His actions had severely damaged the company's image and reputation, so he was fired. James didn't dare go back to pack his things. The company sent someone to throw all his stuff into the trash. Day 4. Emma was thoroughly enjoying herself when his family called. Hello, she answered. Alex, you finally picked up the phone. His father sounded as excited as Columbus discovering the new world, or like when Emma got her first pair of basketball shoes. Where are you? We'll come to find you. We've really educated James over the past few days. You two still have feelings for each other, don't you? I'll come to you. Emma interrupted. It's better to clear some things up in person, okay? Okay. But Alex, you've had so many years together. Don't do anything rash. Chapter 10. So many years of feelings. Emma used to think that she and James would grow old together. But it wasn't until she saw the chat logs that she realized. All those years, there had always been someone else hiding in the cracks of their life. James hadn't pursued Emma because of this steadfast and ambitious personality he claimed to admire, or because she looked handsome while working. Those were just empty reasons. The truth was, his first love, Michael, had been flirting with another girl, and James couldn't stand it, so he rushed to find someone else as a way to get back at him. 3 years later, they got married, and James moved the wedding up by half a year, not because of better timing, but just to get married the day before Michael, to spite him. A couple of years ago, James got pregnant, but, without consulting Emma, had an abortion. He said it was because his career was on the rise and they were still young, so we could have kids later. But in reality, Michael had moved back to his hometown, and they'd reconnected. In romance novels, There's always a plot where the unforgettable first love comes back into the picture, and they get back together after years apart. But if you want to stay true to your love, then stay true. Don't get married if you're not committed. You two are so remarkable, so noble. You both play out your drama and then drag me down with you. It's utterly disgusting. Her brother-in-law was already waiting at the entrance of the neighborhood. As soon as he saw her, he eagerly came to greet her. The kid was wearing a hat and mask, looking like he didn't have the face to show himself. On the way, he tried to speak several times but couldn't say anything, eventually just patting her lightly on the back. His parents also looked at her with guilt. After all, she was now unshaven, with sunken eyes and bloodshot from staying up all night playing games. She looked like someone deeply hurt by love. Alex, this was James's fault. We've already scolded him harshly. Do you think you can? Emma raised her hand to stop his father. Where is he? It's better to talk things out in person. Yes. Alex is right. Let the young people sort it out themselves. Alex is a good kid. I trust he'll handle this properly, his mother said. You can scold him or hit him, but life still has to go on. She pushed open the bedroom door. James was curled up on the bed, staring out the window. When he saw her come in, he flinched and didn't dare look at her. It had been days since they last saw each other, and he had become much more haggard, lips dry, eyelids swollen, clearly having cried a lot. Why was he crying? Was he regretting it? Regretting not being more careful so she wouldn't have found out? Right. Alex has something to say to you. Make sure you say it properly, his mother reminded him, clearly worried. Do you remember what I told you earlier? The door closed. The room suddenly fell silent. James kept staring out the window, but his knuckles turned white as he gripped the blanket. Let's cut to the chase, Emma said. How do you plan to handle this? After a moment, James finally spoke. This is my fault, but we should still separate. This was the result of their so-called scolding, but Emma wasn't surprised at all. She knew James's personality too well. He didn't respond to force, and the more you pushed him, the more he'd resist. Besides, the love he dreamed of for half his life was right in front of him. How could he possibly let go? But right now, he still didn't have enough momentum. She needed to add more fuel to the fire. What if I don't agree? He looked up at her, voice trembling. Alex, a forced relationship won't end well. Oh, how interesting. She laughed. 3 years of dating, 5 years of marriage, a legally recognized marriage, and now it's a forced relationship. When did I ever force you? Did I hold a knife to your throat and force you to marry me? I'm sorry. James closed his eyes, tears streaming down his face. I can compensate you if you're willing to divorce. At that moment, his father, who had been eavesdropping outside, couldn't hold back any longer. He rushed in and slapped him. How dare you talk nonsense? Divorce so you can go live with that bastard and let the neighbors laugh at us. James covered his face, screaming, I want a divorce. He's my first love, my true love. My youth already has regrets. I don't want to live the rest of my life in regret. Rage burned in Emma's chest, making her heart ache with every beat. You ungrateful girl, say that again. Her father raised his hand to hit him again. I said, fine, I'll let you go. But are you sure he's willing to divorce for you? He definitely will. You don't understand us, really. Emma couldn't help but sneer, which only fueled James's determination. I'll prove to you how much he loves me, all right? Fine. You'd better prove it to me. Chapter 11. A day after Emma left James's house, his parents kicked him out, publicly declaring that they no longer had a son. The old couple cared a lot about their reputation, so this outcome didn't surprise her. But now all of James's escape routes had been cut off. His unforgettable first love, Michael, had become his only salvation. But unlike James, Emma had left Michael plenty of room to maneuver. His wife, Sarah, was still pretending to be completely unaware, partly because she was out of town. So even though things were in an uproar where Emma and James lived, Sarah remained oblivious. Sarah and Michael didn't share the same social circles, so there was no one to spill the beans. So even if James couldn't leave his house for a while, the impact on Michael was close to zero. He was still going to work, drinking with friends, sleeping, eating. Just to ease his conscience, he'd tested the waters with Sarah a few times. The reason he was so afraid of his wife was that he relied on her for his livelihood. A couple of years ago, he'd gone all in on stocks, lost everything, and lost his job. But with his good looks and smooth talk, he'd managed to latch onto a wealthy woman. Sarah was the only child in her family, and they owned 2 factories. In recent years, even though Michael had taken on a nominal second-in-command role in the company and his father-in-law had shown signs of giving him more power, the stocks were still in Sarah's name. Michael may have looked like he was living large, but he could be replaced at any moment. Whether he was a man or a dog was entirely up to Sarah. So the $1 million annual salary and bright future he'd boasted about to James were heavily exaggerated. No wonder James, even if he had to leave with nothing, was determined to divorce Emma. A domineering CEO, unforgettable first love, and a reunion after years apart. All the romantic drama tropes were there. According to romance novel logic, Emma, the second male lead, was destined to be crushed under the hero's feet. But unfortunately, reality wasn't a romance novel. Even Michael's love for James was questionable. People involved in the situation often couldn't see the truth. James thought Michael was already plotting a grand divorce plan. In reality, it was clear to Emma that Michael just wanted to keep the stability at home while enjoying the excitement outside. His wife was out of town having their children. His first love was by his side, risking everything for him. He spent his wife's money and enjoyed the love of his first love. He seemed to have taken all the good things in the world for himself. Chapter 12. As soon as the cooling-off period for the divorce ended, James and Emma quickly went to the Civil Affairs office to finalize the divorce. James signed the papers quickly, without any hesitation. He'd even had his makeup done, looking like he had a date lined up afterward. Watching him leave without a trace of reluctance, Emma extinguished the last bit of pity she had. She turned around and called Michael's wife, Sarah, telling her that today was the day to wrap things up. At exactly 6 p.m., the app notified Emma that James had ordered takeout and even requested the delivery person to bring a pack of cigarettes. She put on her work clothes, pretended to be the delivery guy, and knocked on the door. The door opened, and James's expression looked like he'd seen a ghost. "Why are you here?" I smiled slightly. "You two are still together?" James immediately tried to shut the door. "What's it to you?" She quickly wedged her foot in the door. James pushed against it several times, but when he couldn't budge it, he got angry. "Alex, we're already divorced. You have no right to interfere in my private life." Michael, hearing the commotion, came to the door. When he saw Emma, he couldn't help but shudder, probably remembering the fear of getting his face punched. "You better leave, or I'm calling the police," James snarled, baring his teeth. His twisted expression disgusted her. So quick to change his tune for the next man. "Go ahead, call the police. You might as well report me for trespassing and then have the owner of this apartment come and hold me accountable." At these words, Michael's face changed dramatically. He quickly held James back and said, "Forget it. You two were once married. There's no need to make things ugly." Emma had to give this pretty boy some credit. He was quick on his feet, still trying to play the good guy at a time like this. I smiled. "See? Your new husband is sensible." Michael gave a forced smile. "In return, I'll give your wife a compliment too, for being married to such a good man." She pulled out her phone, read out Sarah's number, and showed him the video of the affair. "Shall I send this video? Give your wife a little shock?" James sneered. "Alex, I thought you'd come up with something better. Go ahead and send it. He's about to get divorced anyway, so there's nothing to be afraid of." Emma feigned shock. I'd never seen a mistress so brazen before. Just as she was about to nod in agreement, Michael grabbed her hand. "Wait, let's talk this through, man. Do you need money? I can give you some. Name your price. Just delete the video." She laughed. "Aren't you in a hurry to get divorced?" His expression turned sour. James gritted his teeth, grabbing Michael's arm to confront him. The moment he turned his head slightly, Emma made a move to send the video. Sure enough, he quickly turned back. With Emma on one side and James on the other, the tug-of-war made Michael look miserable. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and roughly shoved James aside. "Can you just shut up for a moment? Can't you see I'm dealing with something here?" James fell to the ground and didn't get up for a long time. His heart must have shattered along with his pride. Emma added fuel to the fire and began reading out their steamy messages. "James, you're the one I've always loved. If it weren't for the kids, I would have divorced her 1,000 times by now. It was all my fault back then. You have no idea how much I regret it. I regret it so much it's eating me alive. Now the heavens have given me a second chance, and I'll treasure it, holding your hand and never letting go." I love you, James. There's no man in this world who could love you as much as I do. She read a few lines, then paused, clearing her throat, almost choked on the cheesy lines. Stop, stop. His face turned from pale to red. Just name your price. I don't want your money. Don't think everyone's like you, obsessed with money, she said. Now I'm giving you two choices. Either you hit him, or I'll send this to your wife. You decide. Almost the moment the words left her mouth, he slapped James without hesitation. Smack. The sharp sound echoed in the air. The world suddenly fell silent. James turned his head away, his hair falling over his face, and a red handprint slowly appeared on his pale cheek. He sat there frozen, tears streaming down his face, body trembling. Emma squatted down, grabbed his chin, and looked him in the eye, word by word. Is this the love you wanted to prove to me? The great love you're willing to ruin your life for? I really thought you meant more to him. Chapter 13. After finishing speaking, it was time to make her exit. Emma had just sent the signal when Michael's wife, Sarah, burst through the door, voice full of rage. Michael, how dare you keep a mistress behind my back? She stormed in with a few strong men, grabbed Michael, and slapped him hard. When we got married, what did you promise me? You live off my money and dare to cheat. We're getting divorced today. Get out of my house. The men grabbed Michael by his limbs. He turned to look at Emma, yelling, You said you wouldn't send it. She shrugged. My hand slipped. Then Sarah delivered a swift kick to his crotch. There was a dull thud. Emma could have sworn she heard the sound of something cracking. His eyes bulged, body curling up, neck veins protruding, face turning so red it looked like it might bleed. Not just her. Every man in the room instinctively clenched their thighs. Michael lay on the floor, curled up like a shrimp. Stop playing dead. Get up now. We're going to the civil affairs office. Wife? I'm sorry, he managed to squeeze out, but Sarah wasn't having it. After holding back for so long, a few words wouldn't change her mind. He reached out to grab her foot, but she stomped on his hand with her high heel. As she turned to leave, he scrambled up to chase her. The room soon cleared, leaving just Emma and James. Aren't you going to confront him? Make him choose between his wife and you? Emma asked softly. Are you really going to let this go? Hearing this, James got up and ran out after them. Chapter 14. And so, on a bustling street in the night market, people witnessed a curious scene. A woman, Sarah, walked briskly in front, followed by a limping man, Michael, hands clasped, repeatedly apologizing. Behind him, another woman, James, hands on hips, demanding, Which part of what you told me is true? Do you want me or her? Make it clear. It was obvious to everyone, a mistress being exposed. Onlookers loved the drama, gathering closer. A few even started live streaming. Wife, please calm down. Michael almost knelt begging. You already have a stomach condition. Getting upset isn't good for you. Such a sweet talker, Sarah sneered. You're just saying that so if I die of anger, you can marry this mistress. Michael looked like he might cry. No, how could I? It was all his seduction. James, already irritated by being ignored, erupted. You, Michael, explain what you mean by I seduced you. But Michael continued pleading with Sarah, forgive me this time. There won't be a next time. The children need a complete family. Sarah snapped. Even dogs know they can't serve two masters. I've spent all this money on you. Even if you were a dog, you'd know who your master is. Divorce. She spotted James and flared up again. And you put my pajamas on him? Damn it, Michael. You're really something. Hearing this, Michael turned and ripped the pajamas off James. Rip. In an instant, James was stripped bare. Even Emma hadn't seen that coming. Michael held up the pajamas like a trophy, offering them to Sarah. Wife, your things will always be yours. Sarah was left speechless. Chapter 15. Are you sure this will work? Sarah and Emma were in a hotel room, purely for a strategic meeting, with a clear view of Michael's house from the window. Don't you trust me? Emma smiled. We've worked together for so long. Hasn't everything gone exactly as planned? I want to make sure he doesn't get a single penny. Sarah was still worried. Don't worry. I had him tell Michael he wouldn't divorce her as long as Michael cut off all ties with James. He agreed quickly, even offered to record the negotiation to prove his sincerity. Knowing him, the things he'd say on that recording would be incredibly cruel. And James, with his reputation in shambles, everyone against him, and his personality, There's no way he'd let it go. The negotiation was scheduled for that day. Emma lit a cigarette, leaning by the window, waiting. Hours passed, no movement from the house. Sarah wanted to check in, but Emma stopped her. A feeling something big was about to happen. Sure enough, several police cars rushed to the scene. Covered in blood, James calmly got into a police car. A cornered animal will bite, and a cornered tiger is even more dangerous. Chapter 16. The November Lovers Quarrel Murder Case. Due to a romantic dispute, Michael invited James to his home for negotiations. James came prepared, drugged Michael during the conversation, and killed him. After arrest, James remained calm, stating, "Michael's betrayal was the reason for my actions. This was the price he had to pay." A small section in the newspaper. That's how this love story ended. Emma lit the newspaper on fire, watching ashes scatter in the cold wind. In the distance, thousands of home lights twinkled. Tonight, the moon was bright, the stars few.